I know what you're wondering this morning. Who's presenting the Times at 1 this week? Well, I'm delighted to say it's that great man, the august man, that is Trevor Phillips. Morning, Trevor.
Morning, Stig. August. Okay, that's a new one.
It just means old.
I normally get veteran.
Yeah, I think it just means old, August. That's all.
Okay. Good. That's another way of saying veteran. Old.
Yeah. We had the Lib Dems on actually earlier. Is it a serious policy? Because our listeners are a bit sceptical of the idea of we're not the biggest fans of Trump necessarily, our listeners, but they don't think that cancelling the King's visit would do any good, really, when it boils right down to it.
Well, it's not meant to do any good, is it? It's meant to get the Lib Dems into the headlines so we can talk about them. And I think job done.
Yeah, I think that's probably
it.
Yeah, okay, fine. I can take that. I enjoyed your column this morning. Shabana Mahmood. It's contra Matthew Syed, who says Shabana Mahmood is the most overrated politician of his lifetime. You're more of a fan, aren't you?
I am, and I think. I'm a friend and fan of Matthew, but I think that someone who has not actually been in politics should be a bit wary of judging people who actually have to do the job.
Shots fired, Trevor. Well done.
Yeah. But I think the point about Shabana Mahmood, I make the point in my column that I think what she's trying to do is brave, but I think she's also fighting history. And I was very struck, by the way, in the interview that you had with Steve Reed. I thought you asked him the right questions, if I may say so, Kate. And I think he completely and totally missed the point.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, knowing Steve Reed, I don't think it was actually because he was trying to, avoid it. I think he just didn't get it, which says to me that the government basically doesn't quite grasp the task that they're having to deal with. The fact of the matter is that contrary to what most of us always believed, which is that time would create conditions for people from different backgrounds to learn, quote unquote, what it is to be British, how to get on with neighbours, what the customs were, and so on and so forth. Actually, something quite different is happening. I've got to confess, it's surprised me, and I'm supposed to be somebody who knows about these things. What's happened is that some of the communities of newcomers, let's call them that, let's get away from the words of immigrants, but newcomers, have now become large enough to sustain their own media, to create neighborhoods and clusters where there are restaurants, where they can be in schools where their children are, if not the majority, a large minority. And it is entirely plausible. Steve made a point about English, but it's entirely possible for people to live in this country and never have to speak English because they live in communities where there are people like themselves. And there, just as a matter of fact, there are now, we think, 33 communities of more than 100,000 people. And that is what the ONS defines as a large town. So you can actually live inside one of these communities. And actually exactly the reverse of what we thought would happen has taken place. And that is the true challenge.
And that is such a clearly articulated point, Trevor. I think that's so, and you're right, Steve Reed was not interested in engaging.
We were both a bit surprised, Trevor, I think for the same reasons as you. We expected he would. But,
and he just wasn't. Tell you what you should do, you should listen to your programme. Everyone should listen to your programme at 1 o'clock today, Trevor. You're an august, experienced, wise gentleman. Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure.
That's Trevor Phillips. He really is worth listening to at 1 o'clock today.